All right. Hi, friends. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Rachel Atnett. I'm a Senior Executive Director with Color Street, and I am here with one of my teammates and one of our very dear friends from childhood because we are going to talk about our foundation this month for Color Street. This month, our new foundation set is called Never Forgotten, and it is to raise money and awareness for pregnancy and infant loss. I actually do have it on my nails right now with a clear glitter overlay just to show how cute it is and to show my support for Amber and our other friends and family that have gone through this. So before we get started, if anyone does need a set, these are still online on the website. And $2 from each set sold is going to two different organizations that we're going to mention as Amber is sharing her story. And these two organizations raise awareness and our support for women that are going through this. So, Andrea, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, my name is Andrea Hoff. I'm a director with Color Street, and I have known Amber since kindergarten, at least, and Rachel almost as long. And we're really excited to, dive into something that's really hard to talk about, but that we want to help raise awareness. So I'm also going to introduce Amber. She is one of our very best friends, and she is here to share her story with us. So, Amber, you can introduce yourself. Say hello.
Hi, my name's Amber. I've known Rachel and Andrea a really long time, and when they asked me to do this, I was really excited because this is a really hard thing to talk about, and it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. So
Yeah.
it's nice to share some awareness about it.
I know for me, I didn't ever know much about it until your experience and then some of my own family that went through it. But I think that a lot of people are in the same boat. Like I've never even tried to have kids. So I might be in that situation myself in the future. So we appreciate you sharing your story.
Yep, I do believe the statistic is 1 in 4. So going into that, Amber, do you want to tell us briefly about your personal experience with infant and pregnancy loss?
Yeah, so I have had 2 miscarriages in the last 6 years, I guess I would say, since we started trying to start a family. Our first pregnancy ended in loss. Found that I was pregnant pretty early on, and then at the 10-week mark, found out that we had a miscarriage. And then in just as recently as 2018, we had our second loss after having our daughter at 14 weeks. So I've experienced the first trimester loss and along with the second trimester loss. So neither one is easy, but every pregnancy is different.
Yeah.
And it's sad, but 25% of all pregnancies will end in loss.
So sad.
Scary.
Yeah.
Because when you say 25% over 1 in 4, for some reason, like, I don't know, it just sounds like more.
I know it does.
Not,
I mean, it's a lot. I think what happens is a lot of women, and I'm sure a lot of you know, and either you've been pregnant and they ask you, they say that 12-week mark is the safe spot because something.
But it's really not.
But that doesn't mean anything. But I think a lot of women, they don't share their pregnancy and they don't share because they're afraid of loss.
Yeah.
And I will say the very first time that we did have a loss, we didn't tell very many people. And in that moment it was, and I remember telling all of our girlfriends that, hey, was pregnant and now I'm not, in the same message. And that's just because nobody talks about it. And it
gives me chills.
It's a baby. It doesn't matter. So it's kind of like, you have to share. I don't think there's no reason not to share that news because it is happy whether it ends in loss or not. I think people need to be more aware of
for sure
what happens. And a lot of people don't share because they're afraid of what might happen, but it's sad to go through it alone. I will say that.
Yeah.
So Amber, going off of that, when you miscarried, how did you know that you had miscarried, and what was that process like after you found out?
Um, Both times I had what you would call a missed miscarriage, where I had gone to a routine doctor's appointment assuming that I was pregnant with my husband, with John, and we get there and there is no heartbeat. Versus a lot of women may bleed, they may have some kind of trauma, they might just know, they might have cramps, they might have something where each time we have gone in, I had expected myself to still be pregnant and wasn't,
Okay.
because I had no symptoms or signs that anything had gone wrong or was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was very, I don't know if that makes it easier or harder, but going in thinking you're going to have a very exciting appointment when you go to the doctor and you get to have an ultrasound and you get to see that baby on the screen because it's so tiny. You don't have any feeling that he or she is in there. And so it's really traumatic. And I remember the second time, I don't know, feeling kind of strange because I felt like I was in a safe spot when I went in, being at that 14-week mark.
Yeah.
And then that happening. And then I kind of just, I don't know, you feel like you're in a safe spot and you're not. And then you realize that there really isn't a safe zone. Like there isn't, that doesn't exist anymore.
So,
Right.
so it was almost like the the heartbeat just disappeared, like it just went away, kind of.
I went,
It was there and then it
baby stops
wasn't.
growing. So, I mean, my first question was, and I guess the second time having been through it, I kind of knew what to ask because I remember asking the ultrasound tech, I said, well, how big, how many weeks? And the second time baby measured 12 weeks and 5 days. And this was at 14 weeks. So I was not pregnant for almost 10 days and my body never told me anything different.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And then, so I had what you call a D&C. So they go in and they do like a surgery to help remove like the fetus and like anything baby related so that you don't get an infection, ideally.
Okay.
And so they go in and they do that to kind of like clean me out and make sure that I'm healthy and I can have other babies again, is kind of like what happens after. And I will say the process is kind of long. I remember leaving and thinking, please let them do this today because I don't want to wait any longer.
Mhm.
And normal, both times I was able to have that in the same day, so I didn't have to kind of sit on that for too long, which
And
I
then
guess is kind of interesting.
after that happened, after the surgery, how long did you have to wait to try again?
The first time they suggested like 3 cycles, I guess, to kind of make sure your body,
3 months.
like 3 months, yeah, like I mean like 3 period cycles. But some women, they say too that sometimes after that happens, you can be more fertile and you can try right away. It just, I mean, it kind of, I guess, is up to how you
Yeah,
feel about it, if you want to try right away or
yeah, and I guess it could be probably like a case by case basis depending on
yes,
how far along.
exactly. And some doctors are different. Some really suggest waiting. Others say you're okay to try as soon as you feel up to it. But we waited. Um, we we didn't really. We waited 1 cycle and then started trying again. But every doctor and every person's different.
And that kind of touches on the next question. Like, can you describe what you and John went through emotionally?
The first time I think was a little challenging because he didn't really know
Yeah.
how to express, like I said, a lot of people, like husbands or spouses or boyfriends, fiancés, whoever the partner grieves too. And it's challenging because a lot of people assume it's just the woman because it's her body and things like that. But I will say I was no stranger to what miscarriage was. I had several women in my family that have had miscarriages.
Mhm.
Um, and so actually at one of our very first appointments, I went in and I asked if, hey, this is something that I've seen and my aunts have had it, I've had women in my family experience loss, and that it makes no difference. And
Mhm.
so I think it was already kind of on my mind and on my heart because I had experienced it before, and it within family members. And when they said that, I think I got a little bit more comfortable during the pregnancy. And then when that happened, I thought I asked all the right questions, and that was kind of hard for me to grieve the second time, like the first time. I will
Mhm.
say the second time was tough because we did already have a child. And so it was really hard to kind of focus on your self-care and yourself and things like that. And we were living away from our family at the time. But I will say I think the second time was a lot tougher on my husband, on John, because he kind of knew what I was going through. And I think that was hard for him to kind of step up and watch, and was
Yeah.
thinking, oh no, we're going to do this again. And it's challenging to watch someone that you love and care about go through that. And as a woman, and I know there's nothing you can say or do, but you feel like a failure. Like your job as a woman, you grow up thinking, I can have babies, having babies is easy, getting pregnant is easy. And that for me just wasn't the case. And so that just made it a lot harder to kind of understand what was happening, I think.
That makes sense. And then, so you had your first miscarriage in 20.
2014, yeah,
And
2014.
okay, and then
14. Mhm.
how long after that were you able to conceive Kinley, your firstborn?
It took us 2 years to get
Okay.
pregnant after that with Kinley.
And then
We were actually in the process of fertility and then found out we were pregnant on our own.
Yeah.
Kinley, how old was she when you
Oh,
And then
sad.
I got pregnant. Kinley had turned 1 in March. I got pregnant in June of 2018, and we miscarried in September of 2018.
so a year and a half?
Yeah, she was just about a little over a year old, and we thought we would try again because it took us
So
so long to get pregnant with her. We were nervous that those kind of things would happen again. And I got pregnant really quick after we started trying, and then miscarried at 14 weeks after that.
and then after that,
Another full year, 13 months to get pregnant again
gotcha.
the next time with Evelyn.
And she's how old now?
She'll be 2 months. She'll be 2 months on the 21st.
Such a little nugget.
Yeah.
She's so cute.
We haven't even gotten to meet her yet.
I
I
know. We
know.
just took
I
her to
can't
our
wait.
family for this weekend, and it was nice to have everybody meet her, but it was really a strange thing to be like, don't touch her, don't, hold her with a mask.
Yeah.
Like,
Off on my baby.
strange times that we live in now.
Your mess. All right, Andrea, next question.
The next question. So since we are raising money, Color Street is raising funds for these foundations. The One Foundation Share is something I didn't even know existed. It's, a whole foundation based on support for people who are dealing with loss. When this happened, especially since the one was, almost 6 years ago or over 6 years ago, did you have anywhere to go for support, or what helped you through the grieving process?
I think the first time I did not. I don't remember having anything like that or anything specific. I think we lived in Illinois. We lived close to family, so I think having my mom and then being with close friends and things, you had people that you could confide in. I will say social media doesn't help because it is really hard after you go through loss to see pregnancy announcements and things
Well,
like
and everybody was getting pregnant
that.
then.
Everyone gets pregnant. I mean, it is what it is. It happens, and like that's a
Yeah.
thing that people not like.
Yeah.
Facebook was new, but I mean that was just a thing that was kind of tough to see. But I will say the second time that it happened, even though we lived like we were in Colorado, I do know that they had like through like our doctor's office, through my OBGYN, they have like a support system. Like I remember getting emails from a specific I don't know if I would call it like an office or things like that, but almost like they provided care. Like they would send me emails and they had special meetings repeat for like different, I guess they have like infant loss and then like early pregnancy loss or things like that. So that was kind of nice to know that if I ever needed that, or if like that those resources were available, because I didn't have that the first time.
I
So
think
that was
too,
nice.
Amber, if I remember correctly, I remember at one point you had reached out to me because you knew that I was really big into devotionals and like I
Yeah, I did a lot of that. I did a lot of self-care, and I learned, um,
because you asked
I
me for
did,
some of my devotionals or
I did devotionals. I started 100 Days to Brave, I
yeah.
think is
I
what it was.
finally just finished that like yesterday.
I haven't finished it either. I feel like I find myself like opening that when I really have like a really hard time. Like I did it again after my dad passed away. Like I opened that one, was one that I'm like, oh, I haven't looked at that one in a while. I know actually, and I'm sure she'll watch this. I remember when after our first loss, and it was taking us a really long time to get pregnant, and it was just exhausting in that moment. And I remember being actually, Rachel, being at your wedding, and I could cry. Madeline's mom, Karen, gave me a prayer card
Mm.
for the patron saint of fertility, and I kept it, and I keep it in my wallet.
I remember that.
And she gave it to
Yeah.
me at your wedding. And she knew, like, it was something that you don't talk about, but it was something that was like heavy on my heart and my mind, that all of my friends knew, and that meant a lot, that she was thinking of us and my family and just was praying for us, because you always think it's going to be really easy to have a baby, and sometimes it's just not. And it meant a lot, and I carry it still in my wallet. I have it in my wallet now.
Oh, it's so
Karen.
sweet.
And now
She's so sweet.
Now Karen is Andrea's daughter's kindergarten teacher. And
Talk about full cycle. She
Right.
babysat me when I was
yep.
in preschool, and now she's one of my daughter's kindergarten teachers.
And you know what is? And it is mostly full circle, but had I had a baby to term, that baby would be in kindergarten with Hadley.
I know.
Like that is, I mean, and it's weird to think about. Like I sometimes look at, like I have a 3-year-old now, and I look at John sometimes, and I'm thinking, we could have a kindergartner.
Yeah.
And it's weird to think about. Or I love both of our girls, but it's weird to think like we could have had a baby not in a pandemic.
Yeah.
But chose something different, and here we are. So it's just,
we're just wondering who they would have been, you know.
Always, you always think that.
You know, what their name.
It's so, like, I don't know what word to say, blessed, I guess, that you were able to have the 2 girls still, you know.
I think that's part of it too, is that I think that we struggled, but then I think that there's a lot of people that have struggled more, that have had, like, I couldn't imagine like carrying a baby to term and then something happening.
Right.
I couldn't imagine not ever being able to carry a child. Things like that I kind of think we struggled, and it was really hard for us.
Well, yeah, and you don't want to discount what you went through just because other people had it worse. You know, like it's kind of hard. Don't discount what you went through, because a lot of people have never gone through what you went through.
We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
But it wasn't easy. I think too, I can't remember, like I follow different people on social media and different things, because it's so, like, I don't even know the word, like it's touche, I guess, to like talk about it. Like no one talks about it. It's like the secret society of people that like have miscarriages, and no one talks about it. And there's just, I don't know, I just feel like that's wrong. Like, I mean, if you're gonna go through a loss, you shouldn't have to go through a loss alone. And so
that's what brings us
the perfect transition.
Yeah, our last question is, what do you want people to know about pregnancy and infant loss that you think that maybe they don't know, or that they should know?
That it's probably more common than you think. That, I mean, I guess our group of girlfriends is pretty, like, a relatively, I mean, there's 7 or 8 of us. And so I look at us as like 1 in 4 of us will have, you know what I mean? Like you think of like your small group of friends or your family or things like that, that like 1 in 4 people, like that's quite a few people that you probably know.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
And they've probably never told you. You probably never even knew they were pregnant. You never knew they were trying to get pregnant or anything like that. I know when we were trying to get pregnant, one of the hardest, like this coming holiday season, I will say this, please be respectful of the young women in life. Like, don't be the person that says, oh, you're only having one child. Oh, when will you guys get pregnant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, why is she an only child?
Yeah.
Only two? Because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
struggling to get pregnant after loss was hard. And people didn't even know you had a loss or that you were trying. Just like makes you sick thinking like, if they only knew.
Right.
So I think just
I
have that courtesy.
totally agree with that, because I even remember looking back and saying to a family member, oh, when are you guys going to have another one? And I had no idea that they were struggling, and I felt like the biggest jerk because it isn't ever talked about. No one ever talks about it. And so I think that is such a great thing to tell people is, you know, you never know what other people are going through.
Just like, I
Always be
be
careful with your
respectful,
words.
and then I mean, I don't want to say like be supportive, but I know like a lot of like, I remember after we had our second and I received a lot of different cards and like, just like almost like not like well wishes, but those thoughts of like, hey, we're thinking of you. Because a lot of people don't know what to say or how to react when someone they know is grieving something that they never really, they didn't really share with anyone. It was something that they're grieving on their own. It's not like the loss of a parent or grandparent or someone else, you know, that's grieving as a group.
Yeah.
And so I know I've saved all of my cards and things like that from you guys and family members and things that have sent them, because I don't know, I guess it's like a reminder of like
Your support.
ideally, like I've had 4 children.
Yeah,
and
that's well, I know it's a lot more common than I had thought of. I mean, Andrea and I are on large Color Street teams. I mean, I lead a team of over 300 women in the 330s. And when Color Street announced this, Andrea, how many girls in our team chat immediately said that, you know, they had
that
miscarried or
affects them.
they had lost a
So
child?
many.
And I just
So
was
many. And it's like,
mind blown.
it was bizarre
It was so
to see
sad.
that. It was just,
Saddest.
it was.
It was like the saddest day in our team chat because everyone was just like, you know, people didn't know what to say other than, you know, my heart goes out to you and, you know, thinking of you. But I mean, it is something that I think does still like bring people together, you know, any kind of loss or tragedy does. But Amber, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you.
Oh,
We
you're
love
welcome.
you.
I'm glad that they're doing this, because it is something that it may not, if you may, some women may not want to talk about it, but I think that people and women need to know that it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah.
And you were really brave to do it. So we're proud of you.
Super proud that I don't even think you even shed a tear. So
I know. And I almost have like multiple times like,
yeah.
we love you.
I think I try to talk about it or bring it up when like the conversation arises, because I guess I'm not ashamed of it. I guess for a while I was thinking that that's because no one talks about it, but at the same time, it's very common. And it's,
Well, we look forward to sharing this video to raise some awareness. Andrea, you disappeared.
I love when Andrea disappears and her Color Street photo pops up, because she looks like, you watch Big Brother and it looks like you're on Big Brother when that happens.
Well, it's because my phone is really old and so it dies really fast.
All right, well, we're gonna stop our recording so that we don't keep everybody. But thanks again, ladies. Love you.
Thanks, Amber.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Bye.